Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 11th episode of the Unity or Death podcast. Thanks for everyone who stuck through my stressful ass fucking week of getting my door kicked in by unknown actors as of now and all of the fucking drama and chaos that's going on. But I know a lot of you have noticed on my timeline, I've been constantly spamming this Commander X thing right here. And a lot of you had no idea what the hell I was talking about because a lot of the anonymous movement and everything that happened 10 years ago now kind of fell into the background, but it's coming up again with the arrest of Commander X. So I figured I would get somebody who's probably covered this more than anybody on and somebody who knows nothing about it to kind of talk about it and explain to everybody who exactly Commander X is, what's going on in Mexico, and kind of like the backstory to all of this. So first up, we have our person who knows nothing about this, my good friend, Olivia Rondeau. How you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah. And then the one, the only, the indomitable Mr. Steve from SlowNewsDay. How you doing, Steve?
What's happening, man? It's good to see you.
Live from the Trap House on tour.
From the Trap House in Denver, Colorado. We doing it. We doing it. What you need?
Yeah, I've got on your guys's, which is kind of related to this whole situation, your homecoming for Assange, which is kind of funny that right after that was announced was when Commander X got snatched. So just like with the John McAfee thing, there's a lot of serendipitous shit going on.
Dude, before we do this, I just want to, I interviewed John McAfee on Cinco de Mayo last year, and there's about 25 minutes of that interview where looked at it through the lens of time and the fact that he predicted his suicide multiple times and said, by the way, if I ever suicide myself, that wasn't me, I was taken out. Looking at it through that lens now, one could make the case that he was calling his shots in several points of that interview. It's going to have significant historical value going forward, and it's absolutely batshit that it happened on my show.
I watched part of that. It's a really good interview. And I know, Olivia, you were posting about how you were apparently trying to explain to your mom the whole John McAfee.
She was asking me about it again today, and she still doesn't understand it because she was like, isn't that the antivirus guy? I was like, yes, but it's so much more. It's so much more than that.
But he's also a pirate king.
Yeah. It's whales. So there's that too.
Yeah, so we'll get right into it. So, Steve, again, you're probably the best at doing this. Give Olivia here probably like the quickest summary of who exactly Commander X was/is, and that whole kind of period in the PayPal scandal and Anonymous and everything.
Okay. And please explain like I'm 5.
Okay, so back in 2010, right when the idea of being a hacktivist, an online activist, somebody who's protesting in the digital space and doing it through all available means, both legal and creative. That was just becoming a thing. Anonymous as the collective, as the Guy Fawkes mask, ensemble internationally, just becoming a thing. And it in the town of Santa Cruz, California in 2010, a guy named Christopher Doyen was living on the streets there. The city of Santa Cruz then and now, tremendously draconian laws regarding their homeless. There was a protest staged at the Santa Cruz County building, 30 days of people who just came and camped out and slept. And this was capped off by an announced direct disruption of service, DDoS attack on a Santa Cruz County website. Are you familiar? Do you know what a DDoS is?
No.
Okay, so it's a very like rudimentary level prank. It's like sending somebody a refresh message on their webpage several hundred times a second over a prolonged period of time so that nobody can get to that particular website. In many cases, people just take it down for maintenance. And if
it's like if I sent you like 10,000 text messages at
It's a
once.
bunch of spam.
Yeah, so where you can't even use your phone and it kind of just locks up.
Yeah,
it's harmless. It causes no damage. It's just annoying more than anything else.
And so that happened. Christopher Doyen at that point became the persona Commander X. He then started participating in some of the more like celebrated and high-profile anonymous actions. Operation Israel, where they successfully, after I think about 11 days, caused so much disruption and damage to the Israeli digital economy that a ceasefire was brokered. And for the first, that was in I ended up being 2014 when they were committing acts of terrorism based on dropping white phosphorus.
Yeah, that was it.
Neat little war crime there. But that was down the road. Payback when MasterCard and WikiLeaks shut down the ability, or MasterCard and Visa shut down WikiLeaks' ability to collect money through credit card payments, donations. WikiLeaks is always and only operated on donations. In 2012, the vast majority of those donations were through Visa and MasterCard. And all debit cards are ran off of, I believe, I think it's MasterCard. So all debit card transactions were processed by MasterCard. MasterCard shut down WikiLeaks' ability to do this. Amazon dropped them from their servers. As a result, WikiLeaks became like one of, if not the first businesses on the planet to adopt cryptocurrency as a form of payment and as a primary form of payment. WikiLeaks and Julian Assange were pioneers in the cryptocurrency space and really would be out in the forefront of it right now had Julian not been kidnapped and trafficked over to Belmarsh prison from the Ecuadorian embassy in 2019. So the model on which a lot of crypto-based businesses operate now, they're able to do so because they could look at WikiLeaks successfully being able to maintain its operations based solely or predominantly on cryptocurrency donations at a point when Bitcoin was like $100 and nobody knew what it was.
That wasn't long after they had websites where you could go and you could just click a button and get a Bitcoin. And you could just click that button a bunch of times and get Bitcoins. So it's like nobody gave a fuck about it.
Yeah. But at any rate, over this the Christopher Doyen, Commander X, fled Santa Cruz on a number of charges, including the DDoS attack one. They were just right when they were really going after the Obama and Biden administration. Really mad at anyone who had a computer who was causing a little mayhem with it.
Yeah, this is really important to know because I think you were pretty young at this time, Olivia. A lot of these people were like your age now at the time, and they caught like 30. This was what would have been, when was the big FBI PayPal arrest? Was that 2014? 2012. Yeah,
okay,
a lot of these people were only like 18, something like that, and they caught like 30-year prison sentences for bringing down a website for like an hour. Like that's how hard the government went after these people for just essentially a prank. They took some of these people down. So
and we can talk about the origins of the law that was used to prosecute them as well, but we'll get to that. So Commander X is officially on the run, moving from house to house, participating in very high-profile anonymous operations, turning the internet back on in Tunisia and Egypt, like all of the Arab Spring tech side where these dictators were shutting off the internet in their countries. Anonymous stepped in immediately worldwide and said, no, sorry, the internet's ours. It's not yours. We'll keep it on. And they maintain that deal with anyone. If you're in the middle of a protest or hectic situation where someone has shut down the internet in your area and you can get an SOS out to anyone like remotely related to the anonymous community, they will get you your internet back. They will show you how to get around that. And it doesn't matter what your ideology is. The thing that matters is you're trying to communicate in the digital space and you're in trouble. So you should be able to communicate in the digital space. So while all of this is happening, Commander X is making it known that like the FBI is slow and stupid. And after 8 years on the run, he made it through Canada, back through the United States, crossing the border into Mexico on foot. And shortly afterwards received political asylum from the Mexican government and protected refugee status. Fast forward to 3 weeks ago today, honestly, a little bit before right now, and Commander X was kidnapped from his house in Mexico. He was informed by his landlady that two guys showed up in uniform showing U.S. credentials, wanting him. She said, "Where is your paperwork?" They said, "We don't have it." She said, "Kick rocks."
Awesome landlady, by the way.
Yeah. So she tells him, he immediately gets on the phone with a couple of his friends in Mexico. One of them is a human rights attorney. That's who he was talking to about an hour later when those two dudes came back in plainclothes, climbed over the wall into the neighborhood that he lives in, kicks in his door, and drags him out. There is these rural Mexican neighborhoods are almost always walled or gated in some way. There might be like 12 houses in them, but that's just a thing. It's not like they're living that large. It's just how the shit's built. So there is a gate guard. Gate guard is distracted by a man with U.S. Embassy credentials while the two guys are hopping over the wall. So he gets dragged out. He gets thrown on a plane, winds up in the Santa Rita jail in Alameda County, California, where he currently sits. So they say that COVID protocols mandate that all incoming prisoners are locked down 23 and a half hours a day, allowed outside for a half hour a day. And that technically isn't torture because it doesn't violate the Geneva Convention because it is a medical protocol,
of course,
dealing with quarantine. Now, state of California isn't under any medical quarantine. This is the California penal system and government going, yeah, no, this allows us to have legal torture. We found a loophole. We're going to do that.
Which California is, legendary and historically a big fan of doing. Miss Cop Mala, infamous for some of that.
Oh my God.
Can you believe they made that bitch president, dude?
Well, yeah, she's not even president yet, but she will be.
She couldn't pull a vote in her. Look.
If you don't know, Olivia went semi-viral because she dressed up as.
Oh, it's going to happen again. I have to wait for them to finish producing the next video because this one I did with the Daily Caller, so I have like a whole team working on it. But it's like fucking good. It's a good fucking video. I'm just waiting for it to drop. It's a kind of intense.
Okay, now I see it. I didn't before, but now I do.
It's like when I have my hair like out and it's like straight, I do look similar to her.
Okay. No, dude, that's fucking hysterical.
So yeah, that was the last update we had on him. Is he's essentially
I talked to
exactly the same as Julian Assange, but in America.
I mean the parallels are ridiculous. But I talked to his attorney today, for a good little while, and I like this about him. When I first contacted him, he's like, "Wait, who the fuck are you? I'm not talking to you. I don't know. I don't know who the fuck you are. No, get the fuck kick rocks, dude."
Smart
and
attorney.
I'm like, well, in addition to being a personal friend of this guy, I'm also a member of the media, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions anyway, and you can answer them however you want to. But unless you hang up on me now, I'm going to ask you these questions. And he's like, okay, that's fair. And I sent him a couple of links of a couple of the shows that we had done with X, including the interview that he thought was his last, because he was convinced he was ready to die in January of this year. And we wouldn't let him raise him enough money to go see a doctor and shit like that. He was actually in really good health. Now he's probably not, because again, he's in a shithole jail in California. So what Jay told me is that they were supposed to have a video conference this week. There were technical difficulties, like there have so often been with inmates the entire time this lockdown has been in effect. They got me fucked up. I've been in fucking civilization for like 24 hours, and now I'm Jesus Christ. Anyway, so on Monday he'll have an in-person visit. It'll be the first time that he's had an in-person visit with his attorney since he's been in there, which again has been 3 weeks. That's ridiculous.
Have they even told him like what his charges are or anything like that?
Yeah. So there's a failure to appear and the DDoS attack, and now there will be federal evading charges. There will be, fugitive and shit, that all
just
of
stacked
that
on top of the DDoS thing.
Yeah.
But like I said,
it,
like the DDoS thing's like 10 years old too. Like that's
it was you said pretty minor. Like it didn't do any damage. It just shut down the website for a bit, right?
Right. And it was 30 minutes, and it was announced ahead of time, and it was on a Saturday when it wasn't even open.
And they sent goons into a foreign country to jump over a fence to arrest this man.
That's a little bit serious.
But there's a lot of other things that happened right at the same time, and all roads in this story lead to WikiLeaks and Barack Obama and Joe Biden's war on whistleblowers, journalists, the First Amendment, and disclosure journalism, period. So at the same time, another unmasked Anon guy named Marty G, who's a more conservative blogger, his defense fund was shut down. Like his legal defense fund got yanked from GoFundMe. DDoS Secrets, the website that did the blue leaks, their servers got raided and taken again. Their social media got shut down. There are rumors that there are indictments for them, although nobody's seen any yet. Barrett Brown got sealed charges thrown at him when he went to go apply for asylum in London, in the UK. There have been this just resurgence of old scores held over from when Joe Biden was vice president, and they were going after anyone remotely connected to WikiLeaks or hacktivism or whistleblowing in general. And so it really looks like there's a resurgence of that exact, like they're picking up where they left off. They didn't pardon Chelsea Manning. The sentence was commuted, allowed for them to reincarcerate and reincarcerate. And same thing with Jeremy Hammond.
Is Chelsea Manning out now?
Yeah.
Technically she's commuted, but they can, if like, I forget how exactly it works, but yeah, they can find a way to grab her again.
I just saw Reality Winner got out, but it was on good behavior or some shit like that.
Yeah, but she had served the full. Reality Winner served her full sentence.
Okay.
Which like the difference is crazy. Of like Reality Winner, she was during the Trump administration, right? Yeah. And like she's out now, to where now that Biden's in, people that committed crimes in the first term of Obama are being hunted down across the fucking globe like it's some blood feud. It's
It clearly is a blood feud.
It is. And reality winner still, even though no longer incarcerated, longest serving prisoner charged under the Espionage Act. So what Jeremy Hammond was charged under, what Commander X is being charged under, where hacktivism lies in the judicial realm, is under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1984. Magnus, why do you have that look on your face? Do you know something about the CFAA?
That's what they charged John Slavinsky and Daniel Baker with when they picked them up on inciting riots on January 6th when Daniel Baker was in Tallahassee, Florida, and John Slavinsky was in Louisville, Kentucky. And they hit them with that law and are charging them with 5 years in federal prison for inciting a riot over the internet.
Yeah.
Under that law.
So the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986 was passed into law, the legislation that governs online behavior at the federal level with extended sentences for breaking it, was written because Congress watched a movie called War Games.
I love that movie.
Hack the
And
Planet
now
is
it
the
determines how
groundwork.
you're allowed to behave on the internet.
Hack the Planet is the groundwork of actual government legislation.
I mean, maybe
I see why you say we live in a fucking cartoon.
I don't know.
I see why you say we live in a cartoon, Steve.
It started out as kind of a joke, just like the Large Hadron Collider thing started out as kind of a joke. I'm sure you don't know this, Olivia. It's my theory. There's really no reason why you would, but I do have a theory that, and this is true. You can look it up. In 2016, like a weasel, marmot kind of thing got stuck in the Large Hadron Collider, the particle accelerator that CERN has in Switzerland.
Yeah, they literally just shoot particles at each other at like 1,000,000 miles per hour to see what they'll do.
Just to see what happens, because what could go wrong? Well, so a weasel gets stuck in this thing and it forces a hard reset. And I believe, Olivia, that this hurled us into where we are now, which has got to be the dumbest of all possible timelines.
Yep.
Like not the worst. There are significantly worse timelines we could be in. I promise you. By far not the best. Certainly, hopefully, the dumbest of all possible timelines, where we have a man with clear dementia.
It is pretty dumb. It is pretty dumb. And the fact that this was the ticket that the Republicans thought was going to usher in communism, and that the progressives thought was going to be like a new beginning, and that like the fascists were gone from the White House, and then we get like fucking diet Democrat fascists. That's the best fucking part.
Biden is arguably further to the right of Donald Trump on
he's more
so many
authoritarian
issues.
for sure. He's more authoritarian.
He's Trump with like good hair. He's Becky with the good hair.
Yes,
he is.
I don't know if
that's fucking Joe Biden
with his plugs.
Kamala Harris. Fucking Becky with the good hair. That's all they are, dude, is just a different flavor of the difference between the most nightmaric neoliberal end game scenario and Mussolini's most nightmaric end game scenario, like kind of shape of hat and or tie pin. Like that's about it. Different uniform. But it's the merger of corporation and state. Every single point in the 14 points of fascism is a fucking home run for the Biden administration. They're doing shit that Mussolini never dreamed of. We did shit under Donald Trump that the Stasi never dreamed of. Donald Trump brought more socialism to the United States than fucking any president except for maybe FDR. He just gave it all to the fucking top, like 0.1%. But it's still the government distributing massive amounts of wealth.
Yeah, it's like crazy to me too. I know a lot of people were talking about like hoping Trump would pardon Assange, but those are the people that didn't know what was going on with Assange. And it's like, dude, it was the Trump administration that was trying to like get him fucking killed. Like they're the ones trying to prosecute him. What do you mean he was going to pardon him the last bit? So like that's it.
It's just crazy though, because like I didn't know if he was going to pardon Assange. I did think he was going to pardon Snowden, or I did think he might pardon Ross, and that was a sore disappointment.
Yeah, like, and again, I think Ross got hit under very similar fucking charges with the CFAA.
Yeah.
And instead of, we Trump pardoned 2 war criminals and Lil Wayne.
Well, and a bunch of nonviolent weed offenders. So give him a little pat on the back for that.
Right. Like it's surreal to me. And like that just goes to show too of obviously Biden now is going after all of the anonymous people, but there was that infamous little thing that kind of crossed under the radar among all the Stop the Steal bullshit of Mitch McConnell threatening Donald Trump that if he pardoned Assange, that he was going to help criminally prosecute him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh.
Well, and so, okay, so check this out. I mean, I was at the Capitol on January 6th. So
Olivia was there the next day, weren't you?
Yeah, I found the Steal sign on the ground and I took a picture with it. Then everyone called me an insurrectionist.
That's fucking hilarious. We the extradition verdict for Julian Assange was read on January 4th, so we were in town because we had events planned around that and had them planned well in advance. And when the announcement was made for the protests at the Ellipse in March to the Capitol, I was like, well, fuck. Guess I'm extending my flight a couple of days, and ended up, it was like lame, sober, or kind of day drunk Woodstock until the tear gas. And I'm standing at there was right where the sort of like human cattle walk started to where you went through security and then got into the main area in front of the Ellipse where everybody was speaking. I was in front of the massive backpack pile. I'm standing there with Burmis and Dylan Avery, and
Burmis was there too. Oh my god!
Oh, yeah.
How was you that got arrested? That's amazing.
You know what's incredible? The vast majority of us that have footage from that day, that have posted that footage publicly, that have made content about it. We've all been on each other's shows talking about it. In the Convo Couch's case, he stole the footage and used it to try to falsely prosecute those 2 dudes for killing that cop. But no one, not a single person involved in that has ever been contacted by anyone going, hey, you got any more of that? Could we see that? Would you like to make a statement about what you saw that day?
Steve, you can't talk to actual fucking journalists. That's illegal. What do you mean? They're never going to ask you a question.
We've all basically said more or less the same thing. I can tell you what I saw. I can tell you what I got on camera. I can't speak for anyone, and I can't speak to what anyone else saw or got on camera. This is what I saw. This is what I got on camera. If we put it all together, maybe we'll get a clearer picture. We've tried to do that a couple of times, and we've come to the exact same conclusion every single time, which is what we saw was a fucking psyop in real time.
Do you know any of the people that the FBI like dragged away for, supporting insurrection or whatever?
One more time?
Do you know any of those people?
The people that the FBI got for supporting the insurrection?
No, not personally.
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask because I only know one person, Brandon Straka, who was there with like the walkaway people and whatever. I've talked to him a little bit about it, and he can't say that much about it because he's still under like FBI investigation or whatever, but it just seems like a total fucking crock. And
yeah, he was the weirdest one that got grabbed from me because I'm like, Brandon Strzok? The skinny little gay dude? Really?
I mean, I wasn't gonna say that because he's my friend, but that's basically my first thought. I was like, he's up, like he doesn't want to break a nail. Like he would never go up there and try to like bust in the Capitol or try to make anyone else bust in the Capitol. So that was it just seemed like the FBI kind of set him up.
Well, yes, and then you find out, oh, there's 20 protected witnesses. Oh, Enrique Tarrio's a Fed. Who saw that coming?
Oh yeah,
You know,
that was the whole thing. Because I don't know, I get canceled for this all the time, but like I was cool with some of the Proud Boys, and like I met Enrique and everything, and he was like cool, I guess, when I met him. And then it was just so much drama that I've been hearing from like the other like DC Proud Boys after that, and they basically just like splintered off and like don't exist anymore.
Yeah, the movement.
You want to see some of the funniest show and tell on the planet? I'm gonna give you some of the funniest fucking show and tell on the planet, and I don't know if I've even done this on a goddamn stream before.
Ooh, exclusives.
Spicy.
Uh-oh. Steve's going to get something.
Oh, okay.
Rapid demonetization incoming.
I love how they exposed Enrique as a Fed though, and like half the Proud Boys like didn't believe it, so they kept following him, and then all of them got arrested.
So
wait, is that the flag? Hang on.
Magnus has seen this.
Yeah.
This is a WikiLeaks flag.
Oh hell yeah.
We have taken it all over the country.
I think my name's on there somewhere. Unless
your name is on there somewhere.
I think I signed right next to Enrique's. Those good.
You signed right next to a Fed?
Yeah, because it was funny.
No, so you didn't, but well, I'm hearing a gnarly echo.
Oh, I hear it too.
So last February, somebody's gonna have to mute or something. I don't know.
I don't know where it's coming from.
Is anyone watching the playback and they're like hearing that audio from the playback?
I'm hearing it too. Let me turn me down for sure.
I'm gonna mute people one at a time to see if it's.
So anyway, so in February of 2020, the same time that we were there for the first round of Julian's extradition hearing, that was when Roger Stone got sentenced. Alex Jones threw an emergency free speech summit. At this thing, Enrique Tarrio was there, Nick Fuentes' little bitch ass was there, Gavin McInnes and his little string bean motherfucking self was there. Nobody should know about that though, and fuck you, Burmis, for.
Oh no! Don't talk about Gavin's.
But
little turtle boy.
Michael Flynn Jr. was there. And so we crashed it, flipped it into a free Assange event, and let's see. Where'd it go? I just saw it. There we go. So that's Enrique Tarrio's signature right there. That's Medea Benjamin's signature right there. Cassandra Fairbanks is on here. Michael Flynn Jr. is on here on the same side of the flag as Lee Camp and Reverend Annie.
That is the most political prostitute flag in human history. Right so there.
I'm giving it to Julian Assange's father this week.
Hell yeah.
And in the hopes that eventually it gets in Julian's hands. But I mean, this thing is just absolutely wild. It is. And yeah, dude, there's fucking feds and honeypots and crazy activists and fucking just wonderful random passerbys, and it's representative with the fact that this dude is illegally and arbitrarily imprisoned, and the United States shouldn't have international jurisdiction over the press.
And that even goes into with like back to the Commander X thing. Do we know if the Mexican government like approved that at all? If they gave any kind of blessing, or did we literally just like cat burglar into fucking Mexico and arrest us?
Lawyers trying to find out. The our friend in Mexico City, who's a human rights attorney, is trying to find out. Kamala Camilleri, our shadow president. Yeah, I think that one's mine. I'm not sure. It might not be. I think it is, though. I'm pretty sure. But she was in Mexico that week. We know that the United States doesn't respect asylum rights because Julian Assange was the precedent for that. You know, and again, Julian Assange, Australian citizen with a publishing outlet registered in Iceland, who was an Ecuadorian citizen in a building in London, is being prosecuted under the United States Espionage Act of 1917 and the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which again, Congress wrote because war games freaked them out. And now that's how...
Too, to be fair.
Huh?
War games freaked me out too, to be fair.
The only way to win is not to play.
Well, I was traumatized. I saw that movie when I was like 10, and I thought it was like a fucking documentary. I thought that shit really happened. So,
well, congratulations at 10 years old.
I would have been like 7 when that movie came out, and I remember watching it when it was first available as like a rental.
Well, congrats, Olivia. At 10 years old, were as intelligent as fucking Congress. So,
yeah, either you really had your finger on the pulse of American governance at an early age, or Congress is pretty fucking dumb. I mean, either one. I think it's a little bit of both.
I was very political as a child.
Yeah, so now that we've laid down like the basics of it, I don't know.
I know I threw a lot at you. I know I threw a lot at, and I also understand how I look and how I sound. But do take into account that I'm living all of this more than fully immersed now like a little bit.
All of us old anonymous people seem like crazy people to everyone else because there's so much backstory and lore that happened that was super relevant like 10 years ago that everybody doesn't give a fuck about anymore.
This is why I'm going to do that memory hole show.
Okay, so I feel like I've just been sitting here being eye candy for like a half hour, so I'm sorry.
Good on you, though.
Yeah,
you're doing great.
I do love the new hair.
Thank you.
Yeah. Keep that energy. It's working.
Okay, my thoughts. Not surprised. The U.S. government sucks. I'm a little bit amped because of the whole McAfee situation. I'm very, very distraught. I mean, I'm honestly very upset about it. I had followed him on social media for a long time. I thought he was like kind of a fucking icon.
That's facts. Yeah. He is. I mean, that guy's a fucking legend. Again,
he is the internet madman. He is the internet's madman. 100%.
And I love every tax evader. So if you evade taxes, you're automatically cool in my book. So I'm already like amped up because of that, and the whole story about, like Magnus said, cat burgling essentially into Mexico and dragging this guy out of some random fucking Mexican neighborhood. Like, I don't know. Should I be shocked? At this point, I'm not. I feel like if I wasn't involved in politics or didn't talk to Liberty people on the reg, that I would be shocked. But I know Congress is stupid. I know they believe in war games and blah, 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 blah. I get that.
I'll never forget that.
I'm at the point, but here's the thing. I'm at the point where I'm very pessimistic because I'm like, okay, what do we do? Because there's basically a shadow government just doing shit, dragging people out of Mexico, and nobody can do anything about it. And now I'm just like,
okay, but is that true? Because we are the independent media, right? And we have friends in the independent media, and we have the opportunity to talk to them about what the function of independent media is, should be, maybe, or
and they're going to drag us out of our random neighborhoods too.
But
like, we're going to get dragged.
So
Magnus is about to get dragged on a weekly fucking basis.
So we operate a little less independently in the independent media. We start to gather and do this a little bit more. And I know it's a fucking scary word, but I really don't mean it in that sense collectively. Okay. Like, I really don't mean it in like
spooky red
let's all
scare
be
words.
commies.
Red scare type shit.
That's not what I mean. I mean operating for common purpose.
Gotcha.
Yeah, as a group of individuals, maintaining autonomy and individual liberty, but operating collectively for a common purpose. That's what I'm talking about. If that begins to happen, then we can do what independent media should have been doing the entire fucking time, which is making the people in that shadow government that you just mentioned, or the people who finance it, the people who don't want to be household names. If we can make those motherfuckers household names, then we're on to something, because then they don't have anywhere to hide and anyone to hide behind. Because Joe Biden is a fucking puppet. We know this. He's a doddering old fool. If he was
our example of a useful idiot.
That
if he
clip
was
of
our
Macron
relative
yelling at him was the funniest shit I'd ever seen. That video where Emmanuel Macron or whatever, the French prime minister, is like fucking pointing at him like he's a 13-year-old. Like, oh my God.
Him getting led out of a press conference or talking to reporters at like a gathering or some shit was just.
He's whispering creepily into the microphone, and his wife. I don't know if you guys watched his speech when he went to the UK to talk to like the military, but he was just looking off into the distance at one point during the speech, and Jill is like, "Joe, pay attention," and everyone just kind of laughed it off. I was like, "No, I genuinely don't think he knows where he is right now."
If this was our relative, if this was our grandfather, or
we would be like concerned. This would be elder abuse.
He wouldn't be watching the fucking kids.
In the fucking home.
He definitely wouldn't be watching the kids, and we would at any moment be expecting that phone call. Oh, hey, we found him naked in the freezer aisle again. Maybe you should take his keys.
Right.
And we're supposed to believe that this is the leader of the free world. Are you mad?
Well, that's it. That's exactly like. Obviously, this is the Unity or Death podcast, and this all started because of that little speech I gave in Lansing. But that was specifically at that point directed towards on-the-ground activist organizations. But then I had people like you, Olivia. I had people like Steve. I had like Fiorella and Pasta from the Convo Couch and like Frank Analysis. Like all these people reach out to me, like Clint from Liberty Lockdown and Reed and everything. And I went on all these shows, and between like Fee and you, Olivia, that is literally like the entire political spectrum, essentially. Like that's everybody.
You talk to any other like conservatives or whatever?
No, you're technically the only like conservative who will talk to me. So you're so far ahead of everybody else. But like,
I mean, I get called a fake conservative every day, and maybe I am. That's why I'm just like conservatarian, maybe. But I'm a fake.
I think that labels are what people need to see on you so that they can determine what you're worth to them.
Right.
And that if you need
and to decide if they want to talk to me or not, or decide if they want to align with me or not, because I can agree with somebody. Like I agree with Magnus on a lot of stuff, but we're labeled as two completely different things on the opposite side of the political spectrum, when I think we're actually closer than most people would think.
Yeah, and that's like to my point of like you've been on the Daily Caller. I've talked to like Steve and like Ian Schlackman, who were like big people. Like Ian was huge in the Green Party, so that's that. I had Spike Cohen, which was a big LP person on, and I've had people that were pretty big in the Democratic Party on. And I've said the same thing that like Steve just said about making these people like household names and pointing out like what's really going on, and how this culture war shit over the last 4 years of how Julian Assange was taken out of an embassy and put into a fucking prison. And I turn on YouTube and people are talking about Marvel and DC Comics and arguing about Mr. Potato Head and shit. And it's like,
yeah,
but we're not all doing that. So it's like, hey, maybe we need to form up like the Avengers of the independent media, the Avengers of fucking like activism and everything.
Yeah.
And kind of get back on the right track.
Expose everyone's name at once, because if you just expose one person's name, like if you just say, for example, Ghislaine Maxwell, they're just going to lock her ass up and make her the scapegoat for everything. So now we're not going to hear about anyone else, the hundreds or thousands of people in Epstein's potential, pedophile ring, because he's dead. He's dead, maybe. And they already have Maxwell, and nobody else is a household name. We don't know anybody else. I mean, we know the people on the flight logs, But the people, underground who are doing the movement, doing the actual trafficking, we don't know. But we should know, but we won't. And we'll never.
But we know Jean-Luc Brunel and we know Les Wexner. And so from there, and we still have Maria Farmer as a.
See, that's the thing, is I guarantee the average person has no idea who these three people are, which is why, like, any fucking opportunity I get, people are like, who should I listen to? I'm like, Whitney Webb motherfucking Webb. Like,
it's a good idea.
Because anyone who's watching, and even you, Olivia, like, just go on to any of Steve's shows on SlowNewsDay with Whitney on and just listen to this woman talk. And it's just names. And then all the connections between those names and all of what they're doing.
This needs to go viral, though.
They won't let her. They fucking won't let Whitney. Steven probably talks
on shadow band too, and I'm not even that controversial. You know what? I choose to associate with you people. I'm doing you a real big favor because
you're lending a lot of credibility. Is what you're doing, and we appreciate it. We do. It's not just eye candy. It's
I know because now all my like normie, like whatever the fuck MAGA followers are probably like somehow wandering into the stream because I retweet Magnus's shit all the time, and they're like, what's this? And maybe one or two of them stay a while and learn something. So I hope that happens.
It should be a short walk from someone who is MAGA to supporting at least the overall free speech, First Amendment, stop.
For me, it was because that's where I came from. I came from the MAGA crew who was very disenfranchised with the establishment, and that's what Trump appealed to.
No, and then it turned out that he was a vaccine salesman and a real estate salesman for Benjamin Netanyahu and every Zionist fucking fruit liquor on the planet. Yeah, that happened. And that happened right after he gave all of the billionaires the two largest upward mobile transfers of wealth in recorded human history. That happened too. But his base was enamored with this anti-establishment feel, which is what happened to me. Trump, I realized Trump wasn't the guy. I realized he got some good shit done, but he became the establishment. He was the establishment. He was a billionaire from New York. He probably never was not the establishment. He was just the not establishment politically, but then, he evolved and became the establishment. And now he's the kingmaker for the Republican establishment. So I get all that. But his base should understand that he doesn't need to have this cult-like following anymore. We can continue with our priorities of free speech, of freedom of association, and of the Second Amendment, but they actually don't give a fuck anymore, which really, really bothers me because it was a very small percentage, I think, of the Trump voters that are like being more open to. I'm not saying everyone has to join the LP because I'm not in the LP, but don't be a fucking establishment Republican. Don't just be like, I'm just going to support Ron DeSantis, or I'm just going to support, like whoever the fuck Trump, hands the totem to. And it's just like, franchise with the Republicans.
Before you go real quick, Steve, I was actually talking with Steve before you got on I just posted a video like screaming at the right about where are they right now? Like Joe Biden just got on and was like, I'm going to use F-15s and nuclear weapons on you if you don't hand over your guns, and like listing all these people as terrorist organizations. And the right wing is nowhere. And me, you, and Jenny, the libertarian, did a whole podcast about how do we get conservatives to fucking do anything.
What I should bring on if I do a stream with you on my channel. I should bring on Jenny.
Yeah, but we had this whole conversation of how do we get fucking conservatives to do anything. And at the end of that podcast, we were like, I don't know, because they were so like tied to Donald Trump, and it's so much hero worship. It's even worse than I thought.
It's even worse than I thought because I've made several posts lately. I don't know if you've seen them, but a lot of people have been asking me, Olivia, why don't you just register as a Republican and turn the party into, more of a libertarian, free speech centric platform? And I've entertained that idea. I've worked for and with Republicans in the past. Right now, I'm just independent. But anytime I post some shit like the GOP is simply not small government enough for me. They don't care about enough of the issues that I care about, or at least they claim to care about. And I've gotten so many comments that are like, Olivia, small government republicanism is a thing of the past. We have to move to populism. We have to move to like alt-right nationalism. I'm like, whoa, we're going like super fast in the wrong direction, guys. I don't know what's going on, but they are seriously, a big portion of them, not everybody, a big portion of them are seriously not interested in being small government because they feel like it empowers the left. And they're so caught up in this imaginary culture war. Like, yes, libertarians can care about culture, but there are ways to do it without empowering the fucking cabal. Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing? And they don't really see that. They see that, you know, their biggest issue is banning critical race theory. That's the Republicans' biggest issue right now.
You're gonna die on that.
Somebody's gonna clip this and say that Olivia is pro critical race theory. I'm not, but it's not the biggest fucking issue right now. The culture war is more than deciding which government
they shut her down.
Monopoly can teach whichever curriculum to your fucking kids. It's a little bit bigger than that, but they don't understand that.
Yeah,
that's really pisses.
Again, like I said, like we had the largest Second Amendment protest in American history in Virginia when the Virginia governor even like mentioned gun confiscation. Fast forward a year later to where Donald Trump loses the election and all of that, we had 50 people came out. And it's like, wow, y'all, it was literally just Trump. Y'all just so bad.
Their beliefs,
but they're like, look, dude, somebody came up with a new nickname for Joe Biden, and it is just lit. So we're gonna roll with that for like the next 3 months because that's all we need. We just need the lulls at that point.
Matt Walsh raised money for AOC's grandma and treated it as like some giant own. He's like, yeah, got her.
I was on Twitter talking about why are conservatives wasting our time fighting the culture war on Twitter? Why are we raising money for Congresswoman's grandmother's when she said she doesn't need the help? Clearly AOC lied about the condition that her grandmother was in. Clearly she lied because if it was true, she would have just accepted the help. But she doesn't need it. And now we have conservatives spending all their time going like, ha, 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 I donated $50 to AOC's grandma to own the libs. When you could be out here at a protest, out here voting, out here making some type of independent media to get people informed. It's just like, so I saw a comment said control opposition. That's exactly what the fuck it is.
Well, yes, dude, that's what the entire fucking
all your time and effort and money trying to attack some random like left-wing figure who barely even does shit like AOC or AOC's fucking grandma, then that's probably controlled opposition.
It gives me
and
an
Matt Walsh
aneurysm.
was an authoritarian anyways, so yeah.
The people like AOC exist to make sure that people stay distracted and confused.
The
people
squad.
like the same reason that like Rand Paul gets to be hella right on some things and then just an absolute out loud schmuck on others. You know, this it's professional wrestling. Like, but you've only got, you know, 2 wrestlers really that you can root for. And you know going in, you know it's fake. You know it's fake, but you
it makes everybody feel better to just pretend.
Right, like I play that clip all the time. I've shared it on my Twitter like twice to where it was Donald Trump gave some big speech where he was talking shit about Democrats, and then Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, came up like the next day and gave some big speech about how Republicans are so awful and how they're like threat to the country and everything like that. And then she gets off stage and she walks down and she hugs Mitch McConnell.
They're besties.
They are
fucking
this wasn't a hot mic situation. This wasn't everything. The camera panned and followed her off the stage as she hugged Mitch McConnell after giving a speech about how Republicans are the most dangerous thing to fucking America.
They're best friends. Did you see this picture? I don't know if it was a leak or whatever. I don't think it was a leak. I think they actually posted it. But Tiffany Trump and Natalie Biden were hanging out on like a yacht last week.
Fucking God.
Chelsea Clinton and Ivanka Trump have been best friends their whole lives.
I'm like, y'all are not even trying to act like y'all are 2 separate parties. And I talk about the 2-party duopoly a lot, but it's really a uniparty. It's really the majority of the people are friends behind closed doors. Everyone, like, if you're really a principled person sitting on the Congress floor, like, you should be fist fighting people. Like, you shouldn't be like
What is it like? Props
Honestly,
to English politics. At least they like hanging out in the open to where they're sitting there calling each other cunts on like live stage and like
they're like,
banging the floor.
But like, if we did, honestly, I would have a lot more respect for our politicians if they were actually aggressive with each other, because it's like, when you're really thinking about it, when you're legislating a new law, especially a bullshit law, you're saying that you're going to enforce that with violence, right? With state enforced violence. And I feel like if you're opposing that, you should be like, I will like, you would be cussing somebody out over that. But no, they go out to like brunch and get mimosas after. So again, I'm very pessimistic.
Well, because they're wholly owned subsidiaries of the same corporations.
Oh, of course.
So, I mean, really at that point, you're like going to a company roast.
Yeah,
you know?
Essentially what it is.
And
Perfect.
like
Nancy Pelosi up there at the State of the Union ripping up Trump's speech, like
that's
they're
what
like
the State of the Union is. That's what Congress. That's what C-SPAN is. It is nonstop coverage of the lamest fucking corporate roast where they didn't even like shell out any decent money to hire an actual comedian. Like that's all it fucking is. That's the government we're allowed to see. That's it.
Yeah, and it like I tell people all the time. I made a post about this of like, if you're talking about what's in the news, you've already fucked up, because that's their battlefield. Like the establishment has picked the battlefield, they've set the terms, and now you're fighting on their terms. And the current battlefield is CRT, where you have all these fucking Republicans freaking out about it and all these Democrats defending it and everything like that. And that's why like I'm the biggest fucking SlowNewsDay simp ever. Of like, I go on YouTube and like Tim Pool and Matt Walsh and fucking the Young Turks and everything. Oh, they're talking about CRT. And I go on to SlowNewsDay and it's like, oh, well, here's all the details behind the pipeline hacking. And it's like, oh, hey, look at one person not talking about all the performative fucking bullshit.
Talk about CRT. But I don't understand why it's like the forefront of the Republican Party right now. And now I had never heard about
Look at how much money is in talking about it.
Clearly a lot. I had no idea what the fuck it was last year. I never heard of it. Now suddenly Republican governors are drafting legislation to ban it, garnering support. I mean, DeSantis is clearly using this for his 2024 run. It's so clear to me, to other people, they're like, woo, it is so great to finally have a Republican standing up to CRT. I'm like, y'all didn't know what the fuck that was 6 months ago.
Yes, because again, it's playing on their terms. And I always use the example of the war on Christmas shit. You notice how that it comes out of fucking nowhere.
Even when I was like diehard like MAGA, I always laughed at that shit, because who tried to ban Christmas? When they said happy holidays, that was the war on Christmas. I still don't even understand.
But yeah, exactly. Like that's the perfect example of it. Of like, they pick like, this is what the weekly shitstorm is going to be. And the conservatives are going to stand on this side of the weekly shitstorm, and the liberals are going to stand on this side of the weekly shitstorm. And then we're going to carefully just talk about this. Meanwhile, in the background, like all sorts of wild shit is going on. Like, for example, nobody's talking about this at all. The Taliban has been destroying the Afghan National Guard right now. Like thousands of Afghan National Guard surrendering and handing over their guns. Why? Because we were supposed to pull out in March, and Joe Biden moved it back to September 11th. So the Taliban got pissed and started fucking killing a bunch of people.
Can I ask
you know who is talking about that?
Why did he talk about that specific date?
Danny Sherson is talking about that. And if you don't know Danny Sherson, he's a retired Army major. He hosts a podcast called Fortress on a Hill that has a logo that looks an awful lot like this.
Hey, nice.
I did not plan on talking about Danny. I just like the shirt.
But yeah, like that's the point of like we're all debating CRT while something's going down right now that could possibly affect the foreign policy of the United States for the next 10 years.
Dude, they're trying to put like the entire fucking continent of Africa on the blockchain.
Oh God.
Right? And like, you know who's talking about that? Me and Jones. Like, that's it, dude.
You were the first person I heard of that, and I went and told Spike Cohen about that. I'm like, hey, do you know about like the weird shit MasterCard and everything?
I want to like Spike, dude, but he's as charming as a fucking stale bowl of fucking mashed potatoes. I want to like him though. I do. I want
What the
to.
fuck?
I want to. Not charming.
You don't
Not.
like Spike?
I want to. I want to.
I like him.
Steve has very high
different
standards.
I have like weird. What I'm not an accurate representation of like any specific genre of human.
Steve's a fucking alien. That's what he's trying to say.
Not an alien.
Aren't we all?
Not an alien.
The pod human.
But I don't know, man. It's when I talk to my libertarian friends, when I talk to my friends who have been involved in libertarian politics as candidates, and I ask them, you know, what's missing from the party, and I'll be completely like upfront right now. I was a delegate for Adam Kokesh last year, presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. Last year, I was registered with the California Libertarian Party. I have let that membership lapse. Will not register for any political party unless a personal friend who happens to be running for president asks me again. You know, like I think that's a valid reason to throw $20 for a membership so you can vote for your homie. Like, sure, you know, but also that's all it takes to get me to join your political party. Be a presidential candidate and ask me to be a delegate. And then I'll do that. You know, it's at least for you. I don't even know where the fuck I was. Oh yeah, what I talked about, like what's missing from the party and what they want to see from the party, and then I hear Spike talk. It's not the same shit. It's
so
not.
What's your
Spike is still talking, like is basically continuing everything that he had to say when he was a vice presidential candidate, and it's general boilerplate, like more like, I guess, almost Mises Caucus kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's bordering.
And
he's not. I don't think he's officially part of the Mises Caucus,
I don't
but
think
he's like friends with. Along those lines.
But
is this an anti-Mises Caucus podcast?
No, I don't give a fuck about LP.
An observation from someone who like speaks the language but isn't an active member of the congregation.
Okay.
We're all the same here, to where like we know tons of libertarians, but we don't really give a fuck about the LP.
Okay. Glad we're all on the same page.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to like, and I'm not even trying to disparage Spike. Like generally, I do. I want to like. I got a lot of friends that have a lot of love for the guy. It's just when I talk to people who like want to do something in the Libertarian Party, it's very rarely anything that the Libertarian Party has traditionally done or tried. And there's got to be some sort of perception shift, because the one thing that like Republicans, Democrats, progressives, anarcho-communists, what the fuck ever, all agree on is that the old school libertarians are assholes. Like they're professional douchebags out loud, and it doesn't matter if they have good ideas or not, because they're out loud professional douchebags, and there's only like 12 of them, so fuck them. Like that's the general consensus. And I know that that's not reality, but rarely does reality determine general consensus. And I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, very rarely.
So I think that if Spike wants to like have a significant impact in the party going forward, he's really going to have to spend a lot of time talking to people who are like not involved in the let's fight with the Vermin Supreme people. Okay, let's fight with the, objectionist people. Okay, let's fight with, and
it's funny you bring this up, because I'm literally going to be speaking in 2-3 days on Sunday at the Michigan Libertarian Conference, where I'm going to essentially roast the LP and tell them that they need to act more like the Black Panther Party. and less like the LP. So that's a thing that's about to happen.
But I mean, and look, dude, and again, I'm not at a leadership position in the party, and I'm not determining the future course of the party. I'm just like conveying what people that I know in the party apparatus, both as rank and file members and people who are trying to get somewhere within this, you've
said before you would be. Well, I don't know. You said you wouldn't interview Dave Smith if he ran, but I
won't interview him as a candidate. Once he's a candidate, I won't interview him.
Dave Smith refuses to talk to me.
But
I've hit him up so many times, dude.
But and look, I don't know Dave for shit. I don't. It's just like this is how my show works. If you're officially seeking office inside this system, I don't want you on my show because I'm not here to sell that.
Didn't you have a very bad experience with that as well? Isn't that part of it? Yeah.
Because I'm not going to just, I entertain the concept to see what would happen. And what would happen happened, and I have no interest in interviewing candidates anymore. But
who did you interview?
Huh?
Who did you interview? Okay, sorry.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't. Like there's a handful of candidate interviews on my channel, and if anybody feels like going through them to figure it out, go for it. But it was enough. It was enough. But Dave Smith is also a fucking hilarious comic, and it has fucking like spot on observations on a lot of shit, and I dig his show. Like both of them really, but I've been a Legion of Skanks fan for a while. I'm friends with some comics. They've done Skank Fest. Like I'm way out on the periphery of that sphere, but my podcast will probably be coming to LA and doing it live from Sam Tripoli's club like once a month.
Hell
soon.
Yeah.
So but
are you gonna fly Allie's ass out there to be part of it? Like
she's got at least one free flight to California because she was supposed to come out in April. So she, but I mean, until we've got that, like, if YouTube gave us the amount of subscribers back that they've taken away from us, we would have a 70K show, and I could afford to do that.
Olivia is the best example of this, to where this woman has tens of thousands of Twitter followers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then her live streams will get like 7 fucking viewers or some shit. And literally,
that's a little. Don't go there. I get more than 7 viewers.
Either way, like the more people will react.
I get like 30. Okay, so
more people will react to your Twitter post about going live than watching it. That's how suppressed you are on fucking YouTube.
I'm like one of those people that's not like, oh, I'm shadow banned, because I'm like, maybe I just suck. Like maybe my content just sucks.
No, you're the shit.
I don't know.
People that have me set to push notifications on Twitter don't see my tweets.
I've had notifications on for Steve since the moment fucking Fiorella like recommended me to reach out to him. I've seen maybe 4 of this man's tweets in like the entire time I've had a Twitter. Push notifications on my phone, nothing. This is probably the most shadow banned man on the fucking internet. It's ridiculous.
I started wondering, like, maybe YouTube is not giving people notifications when I go live and stuff.
Never happens.
I notice it's like usually when I first go live, it's only like 10 people in there, and I'm like, well, I have over 3K subs. I feel like it should be more than that, but whatever.
Who fucking knows? It's weird. But all right, we've gone our hour. So to wrap up real quick, Steve, let people know about the home run for Assange thing. Let people know anything they can do with help with the Commander X, and just plug your shit. Plug all your shit.
Sure, man. And thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed it, even though the subject matter just sucks.
That's That's like all of the shows now, though, right? Like,
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Just one of my favorite singer-songwriter performers, Todd Snyder, has an opening to his show where he's like, I'm not out here to change anybody's mind. I'm out here to ease my own mind about everything, and it works every time. And if things go particularly well, we can all expect a 90-minute distraction from our impending doom.
I love
All
it.
right. Okay, cool. So all of the stuff that you need to know surrounding the Commander X situation, you can go to freecommanderx.org, and the Twitter account is freecommanderx_. The underscore is actually important in this case because there was a previous Free Commander X Twitter account. Because it's like that. The Home Run for Julian tour is winding down. There are 5 more events. The 26th of this month in Oakland at the Islamic Cultural Center at 2:00. There's an event the 27th at 9 p.m. in Los Angeles, and I can't remember the location of that. There's another event in Los Angeles on the 28th. All of the information for that is assangedefense.org/tour. They will wrap up in Washington, D.C. on the 31st and 1st of July. July 3rd is Julian Assange's 50th birthday. That's an international day of action. I'm sure that actionforassange.com has stuff on that. I'm going to be in Los Angeles for that. We're making the flyers currently. But
I definitely know at least one person in my chat is from LA and show up to that shit. Go to an Assange event. They're the best fucking people. Like, do it.
I am almost positive we're doing some sort of like park thing where we're just gonna hang out, have a bunch of speakers, do it probably over around Hollywood, where at least there's like some sort of parking, and yeah. Flyer's gonna get made. It's been a busy fucking day. I'm doing this whole Home Run for Julian tour now. I started here in Denver, and we'll be going to all of those events, including the ones in DC. I'm filming all of it. I'm going to be putting that out as a documentary. You can catch up on all of that stuff. rockfan.com/SlowNewsDay. SlowNewsDayShow.com at SlowNewsDayShow on Twitter and fucking Instagram, even though we just started the thing and it's got like 3 posts and like maybe 50 fucking.
And this man somehow got on iHeartRadio and he's
that's right. Yeah. So every Sunday from 1 p.m. on the East Coast to 3 p.m. on the East Coast, we're on the iHeartRadio station on Aftermath FM. I am also on Aftermath FM every Wednesday night on Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean.
This man does like 100 shows. You just need to keep up.
No, dude, I'm trying to like keep up with Sam Tripoli, who has 700 podcasts. And I also co-host Anonymous Bites Back, which I will be going to more or less directly.
Hell yeah. Appreciate it. All right, Olivia, plug your stuff. Where can people see you? What's going on with the Cop Mala fucking shit? I'm so excited for that. Weren't you just on HBO as well? Like, plug all your stuff.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot I'm famous now. So go watch Pause with Sanjay, new late night talk show on HBO. I'm in the pilot episode. I just started working with FEE, aka Foundation for Economic Education. Go read my articles on there. I publish them weekly. I'm also a columnist for the Rogue Review. It's more libertarian on there. I'm like the random liberty fucking op-ed writer against all the big government shit on there. So go read that. On Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, I have a live stream on my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Olivia Rondeau, with my guest Eliza Blue, who is an anti-sex trafficking advocate. And all the proceeds from that live stream, all the super chats, everything, they're going to the charity Rights for Girls to combat sex abuse. And that's all my shit. Go follow me on Twitter.
Hell yeah. And then, I mean, I'll plug my own stuff. We announced this week before I got raided by the FBI. We'll see if it has any fucking, correlation.
I really thought that was going to be the last tweet I would ever see from you. I really thought you were.
Yeah, I want the world to know that if like I would have got arrested at work that day, my last message to the world would have been post-nut anarchism.
Yeah,
that would be my fucking legacy right there, was post-nut anarchism. But yeah, we announced the End the Damn Wars March. We're about to go live with the website this Monday, and we're going to start harassing literally everybody, and I'm going to become the most annoying Jehovah's Witness in the world to all of you, to be like, hey, your local fucking politician, if you're going, I'm going to be bothering the shit out of you, Olivia, to hit everybody up at the Daily Wire and shit like that. I'm going to be bothering everybody.
Okay, Daily Caller. We don't associate with Ben Shapiro here.
I fucked it up. But yeah, I'm going to be hitting everybody up to every single contact to show up to this march in September 11th in Washington, D.C. I'm trying to do a big partisan anti-war march.
I mean, I live here, so I'll try to go if I can.
Yeah, Scott Horton's already signed up to it. A bunch of other people have already signed up to it, and we're just trying to get more and more, and we want everyone who claims to be anti-war to put their fucking money where their mouth is and get to goddamn DC and do something. If Cassandra Fairbanks or fucking Jimmy Dore or any of these people literally went to Washington, DC with a sign that said, I like mashed potatoes, 100 people would show up just to talk to them. So show up to end the fucking wars. That's going to be the whole thing. So those emails will be going out by Monday. Super excited for that. Next week's show, I haven't figured out the guest yet, but I think I have a pretty good idea who I'm going to get on. So that's going to be fun. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Olivia, for showing up. I hope a lot of people
hell yeah, thank you,
understand why we should fucking care about this man, because it's so fucked up what's happening to him, and we can get him a little more attention in the media. So cool. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to call it at that. I'll catch y'all next week.